Hey everyone, how's it going? Yeah, so right now I want to help you guys out a little bit further. For those that can use the help, I know I sure needed help back when I was a young metal detectorist coming up. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, uh, really, there weren't that many detectorists when I was 10 years old when I got my first detector and started hunting. That was, I'm 46 now, so do the math. That was a long time ago. There just wasn't any help. I knew one guy, he owned a little business called Treasure Den, and, that was in upstate New York. He was very helpful, but besides that, we had to learn everything on our own and trial by error. But I wanted to teach y'all something, show you at least what I do when I go out to these old abandoned home sites. And this little method, I guess, can be used at any site. It doesn't have to just be old abandoned home sites. Although that's pretty much just what I search. I know a lot of you guys go out and search, old parks and stuff like that. But old abandoned home sites, there's just so much to be had. There's so much history there, especially, most of the time it isn't just one family that's living in that house. If you're searching a house that's 100 years old plus, there's going to be multiple families that may have lived in that home, and, they did things differently, they lost things differently. You'll find things at different layers, at different depths, different kinds of treasures and stuff like that. But one of the things that I do at every single old abandoned home site is take good field notes. And I wanted to teach you how I do that. So, taking field notes is pretty much it's a priority for me whenever I go into a site. Basically I just take a piece of paper with me. It's called Write in the Rain. It's just a little pad of paper, and I got used to it in the military. We had to write things down all the time, and it's basically paper that you can use in the rain. It gets wet, you can still use it. Just a little pad. It's kind of like a greenish colored paper, and I just take little field notes on that, and then I transfer this information back over to my large paper. That's my main research paper when I initially start searching a map and I notice a location, which I'll teach you all that down the road a little bit, how I find my locations. But I don't think that's overly difficult. But anyway, I take the Write in Rain little tab of paper, keep it in my back pocket, and every time I find something, I just jot it down. And the way I do it is specific, and I'll show you how I do that here, so check it out. So here, if you can imagine this basically just being a piece of paper, okay, and I just use it's a small tablet of paper, so it's not big at all. I'm just going in and I'm taking field notes. When I first enter the site, the first thing I do is I jot down basically the landmarks. Okay, so where's the road? Where might have been the drive going into the house? Where's the foundation? Are there any structures of the house left? Where was the well? Where was the outhouse? All that stuff is very, very important. Not only that, but I'll just, up on the top, I'll write down where I'm going, where it's at, where this information is, schoolhouse, where it's at, Hart Street. That's not true, but that's what I wrote here for this exercise. City and state. And then over on this side, just really small, I just write the date of when I showed up. Because again, I go multiple times. I'm constantly going into these sites, constantly. So I'll put the date of when I went, from the first date to the very last date, and then I'll take field notes. Okay, what did I find that day? What was different? Was the weather different? Was the ground cover different? Just simple instant notes that take 2 seconds. Now, when I'm out detecting, let's just say I find a nice axe, and I found the axe right over here. That's what I do. I don't use different color markers, I just use a pencil. And I jot it down. I found that axe right on that corner of that structure, okay? And then what I do every single significant find, let's just say I found a toy gun, and this is true for this location, except for the address in the street. This is what it looks like. This is real. I found a little toy gun over here. I found lots of jewelry and stuff in here. Okay? And then over here, let's see. What did I find over there? This is the well. I thought, yeah, there was a big hole back here with some bottles in it. Not sure what that was all about. But over here I found horseshoes and iron objects here and about. So what does that tell you? And you might find some coins up here. And I found a what was that? Like, I think it was a little button or something up here, and a couple other things up here. So what can this information tell you when you have it drawn out like this? Well, it can tell you a lot every time you go in. So where do you want to focus your search? So over here, you're basically taking an area that is obliterated and gone. The house structure is pretty much gone. The school structure is gone. The well is still there. There's still a hole in the ground, which probably was the privy. And there's nothing but trees. Now, if there's a large tree, you know, I'll note that large tree. I'll just make a little root tree like that. And I believe there was a large tree over here too. Something that would have been there when this structure was here. Everything else would have been probably cleared away. But you want to note the trees and stuff that would have been there when that structure was active, because that's very important. So what this information can tell you is where were the useful areas of the property, the highly used areas, and why. So basically what this says to me is this area here, this was the working area, okay? That's what it says to me. That's where I'm going to expect to find iron objects, tools, stuff like that, right? And then this area up here, this was the play area. And it's exactly right, because that's where kids played, because that's all the stuff I'm finding there. Okay, and then you get odds and ends out in the front, and you get little odds and ends and stuff like that around about. But it is so important to document your finds this way, because you forget things. You can't remember things. Especially, I have at minimum 100 sites right now that I constantly go to during different times of the year. Constantly, I'm constantly going out. And I cannot maintain all that information in my head, where I found what, when I found what, and it's just so important that these locations are documented so that when you do go back into that site, then you know where to concentrate your searches if you want to find something specific. And that's super important. You can do the same thing at parks. Wherever you're finding a lot of bottle tops, you know, write those down. You know, people had picnics or whatnot and barbecues and whatnot. But where you find the coins, you know, stuff like that, you know, you could find a nice trail leading out to, let's just say there's a privy there, right? You can find a nice trail of objects leading to that privy, or a lot of objects in front of that privy. But you can't tell that privy's there, because it's buried, but the objects will lead you there. And that's the same thing with nails. Just for instance, if I start finding a lot of nails like over this way, and you know, maybe like a hinge to a door or something like that, well, I know typically there was probably a structure there, right? So depending on what kind of material comes out of the ground, you can really, you know, set up a good understanding of what was going on in the locations that you're searching. And that just helps you out. That just helps you out the next time you go there and you search. You know, I search in pretty much all metal mode all the time. I hardly ever discriminate anything. I think discrimination's bad. When I go into a site like this, you know, because I'm in all metal mode, you know, it's finding all this material like that. It's not just focusing on a precious metal coin, which is random as far as I'm concerned. Is searching this way. If I found a coin over here, and a coin over here, and a coin over here, well, that to me is just so random. But if I'm finding material that makes sense, that gives me a better picture of what this area was doing, I can focus my next hunts on the important areas. Okay? And at this site, the important areas, of course, we're going to the latrine here, because those kids are constantly going to the bathroom, constantly dropping things along the way, and when they're going outside that door to go play, constantly losing stuff out here while they're playing. And then, of course, you know, you got your maintainers that had to maintain the schoolhouse and what was going on. So they're shoeing horses or whatnot, and, you know, all that stuff is going to be back here depending on what you want to find. So that is taking good field notes, okay? It's so important. You don't know how many detectorists do not do this. It is just disgusting what I watch on YouTube these days. Oh my goodness. You get together with you. Let's just say I just watched something just recently. It just blew my mind. Wow. It was like 5 of the more famous metal detectorists all getting together and going out and hunt a field, no less, just a field, a farmer's field, and the only thing they found was all good old ancient buttons and stuff like that. Capital B, capital S. I don't know who they're trying to fool, but they're not going to fool me. You know, I've been into these sites. You watch me on my videos every single time. You see what comes out of the ground at these sites. It isn't fancy buttons and fancy buckles and fancy coins every single hole. No way. That just doesn't happen. That's in fantasy land. And I believe, you know, it is a form of entertainment. And so I do believe there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are using it for entertainment purposes, and I don't think a lot of it is true. Okay, so yeah, I'm a big skeptic when I see $1,000 coins get pulled up out of the ground every single time, and very little trash, if any at all. Nice, but yeah, okay. But this is me giving back to you, teaching you what it takes to get out there in the field, out there at these old home sites, document your finds, get into these locations and pull out the right kind of relics and treasures and stuff like that. The realistic way, not what you see on YouTube most of the time. It's just so fake nowadays. All these big metal detecting companies are promoting these people, and you know, the better finds they have, the more promotion they have for these companies. I don't promote anybody. I don't want to promote anybody. If anybody comes to contact me about promoting their product, sorry, not going to do it. Okay? I will promote myself. I'll promote what I have learned throughout history, throughout my experience, and I'll give that back to you. The treasure hunters coming up, the relic hunters coming up. I don't care about these companies. They make enough money. They don't need me. Okay? So this is for you guys. This is to make your life better, to make your life easier, to get you stuff, better relics, better finds, easier methods, And it took years and years to learn these things. But you got to go out and do this stuff. You got to go out and document this stuff. You got to go out and just take simple field notes. Just carry a little pad of paper with you and just jot it down. You'll be surprised on what you learn. And all you got to do that day when you found an axe head is write it down. Axe head and toy pistol. And all this makes sense. And you can write down the depth. That's what I do. 6 inches, 4 inches, 2 inches. Because that makes a difference. When you research that again and you're looking at this paper and you're basically taking all that information and you're saying, well, why? Why was that axe head 3 inches? And why was that gun 6 inches? You know, there's a reason for all this. And it has everything to do with the location. Okay? So the more you learn, the better you get. Alright? So this is me giving back to you. And don't believe the hype that's out there. I'm telling you, it's crazy today. Everybody wants to just find the glorious item without digging the trash. To me, that is skeptical at best. But anyway, hope you use this method. I promise you, use this method, you're going to be doing a whole lot better because you're making sense, you're organizing yourself for these sites. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next time.